Africa, tell me how you're doing. Welcome to another session of It's Time to Shine. It's time to shine as an individual because there are many opportunities that are out there that probably you're missing out on. Today we want to talk about the opportunity around how to become a data scientist. And not only how to become a data scientist, how to become the best data scientist in Africa so that you can become part of the fourth industrial revolution. What skills does it take? What do you need to know? What transitions can you make from different departments and different schools of education to become a data scientist? So today, it's all about you as usual. This is your opportunity to ask questions to my subject matter experts and guests around topics that of course you're interested in. And today's session, like I said, is really about how to become the best data scientist. Tim, welcome.
Thank you, Stuart.
Yeah. Welcome. Tim is, I'll tell you a little bit more about Tim just now, but I want to warm up the session by asking you guys online who are streaming, tell us where you're from and say hello to Tim. Tim, tell me, as a LinkedIn tradition, we typically ask, what is not on your LinkedIn profile that you're passionate about?
What you not see on my LinkedIn profile is farming.
Farming?
Yeah.
Excellent. Proper Africa. Yeah. Do you apply some of this data science to your farming?
Yes, I do.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay.
Unfortunately, it has made me reduce on my scale of farming because the data is really scary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Leading with intelligence, yeah?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, excellent, Tim. As of course we're getting people online and people are saying hello, tell us, who are you, Tim, and how did you get to be where you are right now?
Yeah, right. Yeah, so if you get a chance to scroll through my LinkedIn profile, you'll get a glimpse of who exactly I am and the career journey that I've undergone through the years. But what's relevant to the context that we're discussing today, I'm a data scientist and a founder of Predictive Analytics Lab. I've had about 15 years experience in the corporate industry before transitioning into consulting. Okay,
superb. Yeah. And now in terms of your business right now, does it just provide services? Does it enable people?
Yeah.
What is the scope of predictive analytics?
Yeah. So we have three engagements with our consumers. So
all right.
In that spectrum, the first thing we do is we develop softwares. These are analytic softwares using machine learning technology.
Okay.
Secondly, we do data strategy and the implementation of that data strategy to organizations.
Right.
And then thirdly, we do training.
Okay, so you provide training services.
Yeah, precisely.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So the topic of the day is really what does it take to become a data scientist, and I guess there's no better way to start off by thinking about it from a foundational perspective.
Yeah.
And a foundational perspective, I think, for three different types of communities that we have on this particular show. So we have people that are transitioning out of high school in the later formative years of that, people that are young professionals and are looking for a career switch, and then lastly, people that are a bit more mature in their career and are looking at data science. So if we're thinking of the three communities, what are the foundational skills if I was just coming out of high school and I said, this is my area of focus?
All right. Yeah, so thanks Stuart for grounding me in that framework, and I would like to map my response to the three dimensions that you've laid out. So first, from a theoretical perspective, and I think most of the professionals that are tuned in, you might have heard a term called retooling and reskilling. I wanted to introduce a concept called upskilling.
Upskilling,
which
okay.
I'm going to use to make reference to from time to time. So what's the difference between upskilling and retooling and reskilling? Retooling and reskilling essentially involves being equipped with a new skill, in line with what you already know. So for instance, there could be a software upgrade in your company, and you only need to add a little bit knowledge to understand how to deal with the software that's been upgraded. However, upskilling means you being able to gain skills that are completely different from what you already knew before.
Right.
Yeah, so where we are right now in the entire three dimensions, be it in academia, be it in professional, or be it in the business world, we are talking a lot more about upskilling because data science sits on the upskilling dimension.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So to start with the first group, if you are in academia and if you're just if you're just about to graduate from university, what you realize is that most of the courses that are being studied at university right now have not had a module in data science.
Okay.
Yeah, but when you get to the workplace, the skill that's in high demand is data science. So
All right.
what option is there for you to be able to transition into that data science? Yeah, that's a critical question that I'll be able to answer later.
Okay.
If you come to the workplace, we already have professions who are doing, to different extents, some level of analytics. We have HR professions, your finance professions, your marketing professions. They all deal with data in one scale to the other.
Yeah.
So when you talk about upskilling, what are the options which are there for you? So stay tuned to listen to what exactly you'll be able to do based on your background and based on the industry that you're in and based on the options. I'll be able to put across options that are very achievable based on the background that you have.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's foundational skills. And I guess it's also to look, when you think about foundational skills, why it has become necessary for us to have data scientists.
Yeah.
I think the latest statistics were saying that they expect data to double
Yeah.
every decade.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Why do we have data scientists? This is a new type of job, new type of career,
Good.
new form of work.
Yeah. So I always want to talk about 3 dimensions that are driving the adoption of data science. So the first being the change in technology.
Right.
Yeah, you've heard of what we call gig economy. We've heard how to talk about digitalization. So we're having a lot more people and a lot more businesses adopting the digital technologies. So in the digital spectrum, we have 3 layers. So we have digitalization, we have digital invention, and then digital transformation.
Right.
So digitalization is when you digitize your assets. After you digitize your assets, you now engage the audiences and the customers to transform their minds and how they use those technologies.
Right.
It's only when they do that that you're able to have some data that you can analyze. So it's important to ground ourselves in that understanding, because sometimes we make a mistake by rushing to study data science or by rushing to acquire data science solution, yet you've not digitalized your assets. So it's important to see what scale you are, do a maturity index for your organization and establish, do you have that data? Do you have that transformation? Are your consumers or your internal customers attuned to work using data-driven decisions?
Let me ask you something right there.
Yeah.
A lot of organizations stop themselves on exploring on things like data analytics and data intelligence because they think that their data is not ready, the data is not clean.
Yes.
Is this a utopia? Will data ever be clean enough for you to get started?
Yeah.
Or do you just start with what you have?
Yeah. That's a good question, Stuart, because one of the challenges we experience in most organizations is the trepidation with which they approach the subject of data science.
Yes.
So first of all, there's a confusion of terms. So usually there's a term called big data.
Big data, yes.
So most organizations think you have to have humongous amounts of data before you qualify to have data analytic solutions. But what we do is try to demystify that. So we more or less frequently use the word smart data.
Okay,
which
smart
means,
data,
which means a small business with a paucity of data can actually qualify to use analytic solutions.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's a level playing field.
Level.
You don't have to be a large enterprise with trillions of data storage.
Exactly.
You could be a small organization and use it to be agile.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, superb.
Yeah.
And then when we think about data and the necessity why we now have data scientists within our business, one of the things that we see is that with the future of work, they're saying that up to, particularly in Kenya, 51% of the work activities we currently have are going to be automated and will be done by AI and robotics.
Yes.
So how does data science fit into that?
Yeah. So data science fits into that in 2 ways. So first, we drive the adoption of those algorithms, or rather what you call automation, because behind automation is algorithms. Yeah. Then secondly, we drive what we call cobots.
Yes.
We've been having an era where we are working alongside colleagues, which we call co-workers.
Yeah.
But now we're moving to an era where we will be working alongside robots. So we call that cobots. Yeah, so how do you get human algorithmic knowledge? How do you get that knowledge to work alongside a robot so that you can be able to trust the output it's giving you?
Right.
So that you can be able to focus you automate most of the work that you're doing manually and focus on more incisive work that requires a lot of insights, creativity, emotions, which will be very hard to automate.
Okay, so the human aspect continues to remain because there's an emotive thought process that takes place.
Exactly.
Okay, you need some emotional intelligence again when you're making decisions. It's not just ones and zeros.
Exactly.
Okay, so there will continue to be a space for data scientists even as we automate these mundane tasks that we do on a regular basis.
Yes.
Okay.
So in fact, we advocate for calling more of removing the word science, so we say data citizens.
Okay.
Where you have an entire organization's drumming and supporting the data-driven decisions, whether you're doing it with science or you're doing it with art, but essentially it's just having that awareness that before you make a decision, there has to be some backing of facts.
Okay.
Yeah.
If someone had to go to their spouse and say, I wanted to, I'm about to sponsor myself for, which you said predominantly that's what most professionals will do. I want to sponsor myself for this speciality around data science, or I'm going to my parents. How would you describe data science in the most simplistic way?
All right. So I would describe data science as a way of making a living. Okay? Okay. Education primarily provides you with two things. So it's either providing you with knowledge, and number two, it's providing you with a skill. Now, where data science sits, data science is a skill. So I could use traditional professions to justify that argument. If you go to get a degree in law, for instance, you don't need to get employment. You can go open your own shop somewhere, your kiosk, and then you put that so and so partners, and you'll have people walking into your kiosk for services. Where we are right now, when we're talking about creating careers which you can be self-sustaining, you don't need to attach yourself to an institution so that you can work. That's where data science sits. And what we want to encourage aspiring professions or aspiring data scientists is to equip themselves with this skill, knowing that either this skill is going to make you have a longer shelf life with your employer because you're moving to the next wave. And then number two, this is a window for you to move into self-sustainability. If you've been in the corporate, such as myself, for a couple of years and you're looking for a window where you can move into consulting, then it's important that you ground yourself with a skill that people can trust and you can be able to sustain yourself without little investment in advertising or marketing your skills.
Are you finding that most people that do train on the practice are going into formal employment, or are most people going into independent consultancy and are entrepreneurs? What are you finding?
I think you can tell us what data LinkedIn is showing. But I think from my own gut feeling is, first of all, data scientists have a very short shelf life.
That's right.
Because of the nature of the problems they solve in organizations. So number one, they disrupt themselves out of work.
Okay.
A lot of the challenges.
That's a sign of being a good data scientist. Disrupt yourself out of a job.
Exactly, because one of the challenges we're given by organization is to create automation.
Right.
So you cannot sit there to automate, yet you continue being there. You'll look for next challenge. So as a result, if you look at the data, perhaps you can verify the shelf life of a data scientist to be in an organization is just less than 1.5 years. So unless something is created for them, they'll sort of move on to look for other challenges.
Okay. 1.5 years is the average,
Is average,
Okay.
More specifically in Africa, where we have a growth in demand for this skill, and we have a multitude of problems. So the problems here are in two dimensions. So we always talk about community problems, we talk about business problems. So we find a lot of data scientists solving business problems within the corporate environment. But then also there's a bigger chunk of data scientists who set up startups, solving problems in healthcare, agriculture, transport, and the funding is coming in. So if you look at some data which came across, and I saw that the funding for artificial intelligence, data science, and machine learning startups is growing in Africa, whereas it's declining in the developed world. So specifically, that's one of the areas that I'd like to highlight upon as we move on in this conversation.
Okay. Tim, something else that we saw from the data from LinkedIn quite recently is that 72% of the people that go into this are male.
Okay.
And of course, that means 27% are female.
Yeah.
Is that the sort of trend you're also seeing, or is this a science, or is this an industry that's opening up more? Are these numbers changing?
Yeah, I think that's more or less because of the background of data scientists. Traditionally, data scientists transition from science-oriented careers. So we have, for example, actuaries, we have business intelligence, we have engineering, who make the bulk of data scientists.
Okay.
So by default, that will give it gender skew. However, there is a mid-tier category of data scientists who are actually evolving from professions. And this we've experienced in our lab, where the bulk, we have a 50-50 participation from both genders.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
so in mid-level professions, we find HR professions, we find finance professions, looking into making a career switch to data science.
Yeah.
And those numbers are quite encouraging because we see a 50-50.
50 split.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's nothing prohibiting you, irrespective of your gender, from entering into it. What we've seen from a background of what these people have studied, once they come in, we're getting a lot of web developers, we're getting a lot of people with financial analytical skills, we're getting a lot of people that have done traditional IT roles like database management as well. And then lastly, we're getting a lot of people that have done digital marketing entering into it. So nothing prohibits you from making that switch of your traditional career that you had studied in to now going in with the data science. So my love for math, right? My love for Excel spreadsheets, for pivot tables. How much of that do I need if I'm to thrive in this profession? Or how much of it do I not need?
Yeah, right. So I'm going to answer that in two regards. So first, I'd like to take you back to what I mentioned about retooling and reskilling.
Right.
So the largest number of data scientists right now only come into that field through retooling and reskilling.
Right.
So there's some threshold of skills they already had. So they've only gone back to study and add a little layer.
Right.
But now we are seeing a new entrant who are now being upskilled, and that's the category that, for example, at our lab we focus on. So we go for traditional skilled finance professions, we go for traditional skilled HR professions, and come and add another layer of analytic skills to the skills they already know.
Okay.
Because from experience, what we've learned is the best data scientists are those ones who are well grounded in their business domain.
Okay.
When they add the business analytics skill on top of that, they end up excelling in the area of work, because there's something in data science called feature engineering. So feature engineering is essentially being grounded in a certain business domain and reverse engineering that problem and solving it using data engineering skills. So traditionally, most organizations have been struggling because they have a department that does data engineering. Then they find business professionals going to brief that department. But what we are doing is democratizing and removing that department so that it self-service analytics. So we find that the professionals who come in from a traditional background in our business are well grounded, and they're much more better problem solvers than the ones who are scientifically gifted.
Okay, so you must understand the business and why we're in the business.
Exactly.
Okay, otherwise it's just a data dump. It's just a lot of numbers which sometimes do not help. How well does a data scientist has to harness the skill of storytelling? Because like you said, if it's just analytics for the sake of analytics, intelligence for the sake of it, it's just numbers and statistics. So storytelling, how does that play into it?
So storytelling is like a swimming, skills to someone who's drowning. Okay? Because we are in the winter period of this technology. So first of all, you have to be very articulate in describing what you're doing to bring the believability and convince others to buy into your story.
Right.
So as data scientists, we don't sit, for example, traditionally you know an IT guy who sits in a corner doing his code, developing whatever he does, then goes out and produces the work. But unfortunately in data science, you have to constantly engage, you have to constantly talk with management, you have to constantly talk with users, you have to constantly interrogate and communicate as a team to build and engineer those tools. So as a result, one of the skills that we develop is storytelling. So we use storytelling so that to save our careers.
Yes.
Yeah, because we do a lot of storytelling both internally and externally.
Okay.
Yeah, so personally, I've been writing articles on the local dailies. I do a lot of speaking in conferences, educating the public. I do a lot of mentorship, speaking to students across different domains, just to keep them to speed with what this skill is all about.
Right.
And doing a lot of technical communication to non-technical users of these products.
That's
So
right.
you can only achieve that through storytelling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a strong communications base
Yeah.
will set you up for success beyond just understanding the science of it.
Precisely.
What other soft skills would be important for one to have
Yeah.
if they're to thrive and
Yeah.
really succeed in this profession?
Yeah. Thanks for that question, because I think that accounts for almost 30% of failures of data science skills. I mean, data science careers.
Right.
So one of the soft skills required is collaboration.
Yeah.
Yeah. Collaboration.
Collaboration, yeah?
Yeah. Collaboration in the sense that you don't go into the room thumping your chest to be the one who knows it all, but being exercising humility, providing articulate communication of your discoveries, and sometimes being led by others. Yeah, I'd like to refer you to a movie called The Imitation Game on the Netflix. If you watch that movie,
The Imitation Game?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and you'll be able to. If you watch that part where
Is this a spoiler alert?
Yes. Where's
Alright,
that part
here's
you'll be
this-
able to see?
Which part? Tell us.
Yeah. So there's a part. The movie is actually about some the Morse code, how it was broken, the German Enigma machine, which was broken by Alan Turing in the 1950s, and which brought to end the World War II. Yeah. So Alan Turing was a very gifted mathematician. He broke the code, but now how to break the results? There's a part that's very exciting. So how are they going to carry that communication that they have broken the code?
Yes.
So they agreed among themselves that to keep quiet. Because
Yeah.
the Germans knew that the code had been broken, then they would have changed the code again.
Exactly.
In the work, yeah. So one of the things that we like teaching in our lab is collaboration, because these people had diverse skills. The team had been set from different backgrounds. They had to very short time to work together, move towards a certain objective, and then also dismantle. So in the management theory, we call that forming, storming, norming. Yeah. So if you're able to see the application of that in data science, it's pretty much real.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds excellent.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just checking questions. Again, we're talking data science today, how you can become a data scientist. We've got Tim Orido, who's a specialist in the profession, who's training people, who's building applications, and working with management across the East African marketplace in the same spectre. So if you have a question, this is your time to ask the questions. Until I get questions, I am going to just share some statistics here with Tim and get your impression on it. So recently we had a look at digital professionals in the East African marketplace.
Yeah.
And what we found was that 56% of the professionals are active on a platform like LinkedIn. So it means they're actively going in, looking at jobs, looking at opportunities, etc. But what was startling is that on the reverse side of it, only 37% of them had told or had set up their profiles to say they're open for opportunities, which means a lot of them are not getting access to these opportunities and are likely to think there's no jobs in this space. What's going on there? What is this?
Yeah. So I think to be able to look at it more astutely would be good to appreciate what is what you call the VUCA. Most businesses are operating under this VUCA environment. So VUCA is volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. Yeah? So most businesses are operating in that. So how does that cascade down to the digital skill era? So one of the things around digital is the shorter lifespan of these skills. So we are constantly learning new tools. There's a what we call the Moore's law. So Moore's law says that technology lasts every 18 months technology changes.
Right.
In this world of digital, that has even come down. So every 6 months there's something else that's coming up.
That's right.
So constantly, one of the things that most organizations are now recognizing that learning and development is a key deliverable and a key measurable objective of a data science, for instance, or a digital skilled worker.
Right.
Yeah, you cannot be in one job for a year, yet you've not learned any new tool or any new skill.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I've got a question coming in from the online audience here.
Okay.
And it was really around what are the things that draw data scientists into jobs? Is it the pay? What really is the biggest draw card for them? Is it the opportunity to work on impactful projects? What are you finding?
Yeah, so it's a mix of both. In mature economies, actually, where the salary scales are pretty much well defined, data scientists are driven by pay.
They're driven by pay.
Yeah, but more or less here in Africa, where we are still doing a lot of education, trying to educate the corporates on how to. Most corporates don't even have a data science department. When you're hired, you might move there for pay, and then you are lonely. You're sitting in your own corner. There's no one who's giving you assignments. So that has become second burner.
Yeah.
So we are moving more to go into environment as evangelists. Yeah. What is the need for us is to be able to create an environment for data science to blossom. Yeah. So of course we have got the technology companies, as I hope you'll show us that slide where most data scientists are working here in Kenya. But I think if you look at those organizations that are leading in data science adoption, one of the things they've constantly done is to be able to improve the working conditions of data scientists, and even create what we call a matrix structure, where you find data scientists having, creating more interactions with the business decisions, and then also with the business problems. Yeah, so that said, data scientists are genuinely driven by a thirst to solve business problems.
To solve business problems.
Yeah.
So I guess one of the things I also heard when you're talking now is the whole fact that you could need to play the role of evangelist.
Yes.
Whether you've got the job, whether you're a consultant into an organization, part of your role is to evangelize what you're doing.
Exactly.
Because if you don't evangelize it, the opportunity to solve business problems is not given to you.
Precisely.
I think earlier we talked about communication skills and collaboration skills. It sounds to me like data scientists need to find their work in an organization. So that means giving them access to meetings, giving them access to forums internally where people are discussing strategy and problems. They listen in and then they go out and create models that work for the organization. So find your own work is a critical component.
So which has even, that term has evolved. So now in our career we have what we call CFDS, which is a consumer facing data scientist.
Ah, okay.
So you're a data scientist who sits alongside, for example, the marketing team, solving the problems that are consumer facing.
So in the HR practice, they have an HR business partner who does that. And the same from a data science perspective, we now have people that will sit within the business to understand the challenges they have.
So,
and do they bring it back to a different team, or do they work on resolving that problem?
They work on resolving that problem. So the consumer, by the way, is both internal and external.
Okay.
So in the area of the area of people management, like HR, we have what you call people analytics.
All right.
So which was traditionally a role that, if you look at it, was mostly on finance and BI, but now it's evolved to be a HR role, where we are finding most organizations continuing to hire data scientists, either internal HR professionals moving to people analytics, so they're being trained on analytic skills so that they can start solving HR problems using analytic tools. Or vice versa, hiring someone with a data science and then grounding them in the practice of HR so that they are an asset within the HR team that are able to solve the HR analytic components of the business.
Okay. So it sounds like evangelism is something that's going to be critical if we are to help the business understand what we bring to the table. So unfortunately today it looks like people, there's been quite a bit of buffering because it's becoming quite difficult for them to follow because the video keeps buffering. Some good comments here. Esther saying hello to you, Tim, and saying thank you very much for the information that you're sharing.
Hey, Esther.
So at least we got participation. When we look at some of the institutions we've got in East Africa, and I think the top 5 universities that are providing grounding for these skills are University of Nairobi, Moi University, Makerere University, Addis Ababa, and those are the 5, and Jomo Kenyatta. Are you finding there's other institutions beyond these that are promoting the practice?
Yeah, of course, and I think having mentioned that we are in the winter period of this, so one thing that's critical is around providing this knowledge. Yeah, so unfortunately for the university ecosystem, it's actually regulated. Yeah, I've helped academic institutions, for example, Strathmore Business School come up with a curriculum for data science, but unfortunately because of the lengthy time that the Commission of Higher Education goes through approving such a curriculum, we're finding that that course has not started yet because it has to go through the statutory requirements for that course to start.
Right.
Yeah, but that doesn't stop other institutions. There are a couple of institutions which have created executive programs.
Right.
Strathmore Business School being one of it, University of Nairobi being the other. We have a Kenya College of Accountancy, which again have a data science program, only that it's skewed with on the mathematics side. So it leaves out the guys with professional skills, for example, HR, marketing, who want to transition, because now you're required, the prerequisite is you have to have a bachelor's degree in actuarial or mathematics, yeah? But we also have a multitude of other training institutions. We'd like to give a special mention to ABMC International, which has been at the forefront of building analytic skills, for example, on the HR analytics front.
Okay.
So there is a program that they've been running for 3 years now.
Okay.
HR
ABMC
analytics.
International, yeah.
Yeah. And that course has been very instrumental. I'm the official trainer for that course, so I can actually confirm that we have been able to transform a couple of HR professions into analytics comfortably. Yeah, so besides just understanding the concepts around analytics, they have some hands-on skills. Yeah, there's a programming language we call Python that's used in analytics. Python is just like Excel.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you remember the previous years, we used to write that in your CV you could put that you're proficient in Word, Excel, PowerPoint before you're given a space in some interview.
Yeah.
Opportunity. But now we are actually convicted that in the next 2 years, unless you have the word Python in your CV, you'll not be able to face up interview panel. So we've been constantly through our lab retooling and reskilling, and actually upskilling different professions on the use of Python, because we believe that that's going to be the next edge of professional dispensation.
Okay.
Yeah.
I had a look just before we started this live stream at some of the industries that are hiring data scientists.
Yeah.
And I think top of mind was your ICT, your telecommunications, the people that develop software for computer software.
Yeah.
Then surprisingly, immediately after those top three, research and NGOs, non-profit organizations, then fell into that.
Yeah.
Why it was surprising for me is that I suspected that the financial institutions would have more data scientists, or would have more space for data scientists.
Yeah.
Is that picture wrong?
No, that picture is very correct, and I think if you experience, the finance industry is highly regulated.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think there's some studies have been involved which have been able to measure the level of innovation in financial institutions. It's a bit lagging behind the telco sector, for instance. Yeah, because again, matters finance are almost like a basic need. So it's always driven by access to financing. Once you've got a credit score algorithm developed, then what else? Yeah, and then credit scores algorithms are standard across the industry. So until the day we've started having the digital money lenders coming into this market, the banks were really in a comfort zone. Yeah, so they had no one to challenge them to their status. Because again, just look at the media houses, for instance. Before you start a TV station, you need to have a letter of license to start that. But look at what YouTube, what we call the OTT platforms, look at what they revolutionized and reduced what we call the barrier to entry for those industries. So it brought in a lot of competition, a lot of innovation. Digitalization has led to platforms which are OTT from local creators. So the same data reflects. So data scientists are given an opportunity to solve problems. Now when you're solving those problems, there has to be an appetite for problem solving within the organization.
Yeah.
Now what is the drive of this appetite? So this appetite is driven by regulatory pressures.
Right.
Yeah. So once some lid is lifted on some regulatory requirements by the government, then it brings in a lot of innovation. The other one is customer driven.
Customer
so
driven.
Once customers start demanding for value, We've seen how different business ecosystems have been evolving. Yeah, so those pressures are coming down,
Okay.
and they're bringing in a lot of demand for our skills. So which is something that we appreciate, and we're becoming one big global village.
Yeah.
So you'll find data scientists actually coming from the West or Asia coming to work here. But one thing that we are committed to doing is developing local talent.
Yes.
Because again, as I mentioned earlier, there's something called feature engineering, which means you're calibrating your data to a certain context. If you bring your data scientist from, for example, the West, they will come here, they will see the data, but they'll not understand the meaning of that data.
The cultural, the nuances,
exactly.
the social.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, which brings me to my last point around banks and why that data is the way it is. So banks globally have been very mature in the use of analytics. So we find that most solutions that most banks use locally have been acquired from
Yes.
established owner institutions.
Yes.
Yeah. So we end up becoming end users. Yeah. So we don't develop solutions from open source. Yeah. So be it a T24 core banking system,
Yes.
we don't have a locally developed core banking system. So we just find an already existing system, we
With
bring it
embedded.
here, and then we come and train users on the use of it. Unfortunately, data science is not about end user. Data science is about building solutions ground up.
Yeah.
So we use Python, which is an open source solution, which means you have to be very creative, understand the basics of it, and build up and come up with an innovation. So it's mostly IP driven. And that's where we'll need to recalibrate how organizations run, how the innovation is done,
Yeah.
and even how you reward employees. Yeah.
So if you had to tell me the person that a data scientist would most likely have success and most likely have use cases and have most likely interactions with within the hierarchy of an organization's leadership, who are data scientists better married to? Is it finance? Is it HR? Is it marketing, sales, CEO? Who exactly do they tend to spend time with?
I see, because of the phase that you're in as a technology, the best data scientists who are very successful are aligned to the CEO,
To the CEO.
the decision maker.
Yeah.
And,
So it starts right at the top.
yes, right on the top.
And then you work your way down across the different departments.
Exactly. And that's primarily because we have what we call behavioral mindset change that needs to happen within the organization for this career, for this profession to blossom. Yeah. So first of all, people need to buy in. Yeah. Traditionally, as a region, we always take information down. We've not created a structure within the organization that can be able to appreciate. That's because we could something called the HIPPO,
Yeah,
the
highest earning person.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
opinion.
The opinion. Yeah, so
We've got too many hippos in the room.
unless we invert that so that
Yeah.
it's the highest earning person is the smallest person within the organization.
Yeah.
Then I think we'll be creating a nurturing environment for this to be appreciated, and it's something that I've taken.
But currently it's top down. That's what
currently
you've
it's
got.
top down.
Okay, so sell the vision to the CEO,
Yeah.
align it to his strategic imperatives,
Yeah.
then you're more likely to have success and access
Exactly.
to the remaining departments within.
Yeah, CEO and even the board.
Yes.
Yeah. So one of the skills we teach aspiring data scientists in organization is decision science. And decision science goes a lot to do with understanding office politics.
Yeah,
So
I
we
was
have
about to get into that. Is that
Yeah.
how do you manage that?
Yeah.
Because people tend to hold on to data because they're creating a little bit of a kingdom there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have, and precisely that's why we do coaching. So I've got 2 coaching licenses. So people always ask, how do you blend coaching and data science? So I use coaching first of all, like the military uses the Reiki. Yeah. So use coaching to go ahead and prepare the ground for the skills to learn softly. Yeah, because if you don't do that, you'll face a lot of resistance.
Right.
It's not that what you're doing is wrong, it's just because people are not accepting what you're doing.
Yes.
And it's, in a matter of time, it will be an issue of the past, but where we are now as a region, then also as a country and as corporates, we are still need to unlock and open more doors. And these doors are actually behavioral doors, so mindset change.
Mindset change.
Yeah.
Tim, we've reached our half an hour mark. Unfortunately, the buffering hasn't helped us.
Yeah.
But if you had to have an elevator pitch, parting shot, what would it be for those who are aspiring to get into the trade in terms of opportunity?
Yeah.
What would be your last message for them?
Yeah. So there is something for everyone in this. Okay. You don't have to have a technology background. Yeah, and I could just draw for you a simple example. So every time there's something new, and you've been perhaps experiencing a multitude of events. So we have event planners who are making money from artificial intelligence, blockchain, data science. They have little understanding of that, but they are happy just organizing, getting professionals to come and talk about the event, and then going out clean and happy. We also have on the regulatory landscape the government. Yeah, so the government is already creating departments. So in Kenya right now, we are setting up the data protection bill. In that data protection bill, there's going to be a data commissioner office. And that data commissioner office is going to come with quite a number of roles which are going to be established. So we need to prepare ourselves for those jobs. So there is something for you even from a regulator perspective. As businesses, it doesn't matter how much data you have. Yeah, any little data can be drilled down, and there's something we call outside insights. You can combine that little data with external data to have some touch points of innovation and help you leapfrog your competitors. And then fourthly, in the area of skills, yeah, so whichever area you're in, either you're a student about to graduate, either you're employed or either you're in business, you can use data science skill as a competitive edge. If you go for an interview right now and you produce a certificate that you have some skill of data science, you stand a better chance. And we've witnessed this from our lab, from the early cohorts that took part in our course. They're already getting good jobs. We already created even a new business stream for our lab for job placements. So we have a lot of companies coming to us looking for data scientists, and this is across Africa.
Yeah.
We have guys from Nigeria, West Africa, in Ghana, we have from South Africa coming to us. We see the good work you're doing developing data scientists. Give us these careers. We have jobs for them, we need to place them.
Excellent.
So there's a lot of demand being created. We are
Right.
feeding in the supply, but we need to be many of us in this, so I'd like to invite you to the table. The cake is huge, and say,
There's enough for
in
everybody.
Africa, there's enough for everyone.
Well, you heard it for yourself. There's jobs, there's different areas of the business that you can go into.
Yeah.
Connect up with Tim online. He is on LinkedIn, so you can definitely connect up and reach out and get more additional information. Like we said, it's time to shine as an individual.
Yeah.
This is time for you to show your passion around data science. If it is something you're super passionate about, join the groups that are currently on LinkedIn. There's several groups where you can go and get thought leadership, where you can go and test out your ideas, where you can go and create new economic partnerships that could lead to something really big. So definitely do that. Grow, have a mindset that is continuously learning, absorbing, understanding, rethinking. I think that's also quite critical if you want to thrive within this sector. It is a sector right now that's not highly populous, so it is a place where if you were to invest, the opportunities are currently quite in abundance in terms of what jobs you can do, what consultancy pieces of work you can do. We talked about doing remote work, talked about working in public sector, talked about also the opportunities that exist in private sector. We thank you for joining the stream. We're really sorry that it was buffering, network problem out of our control, but we hope as we send out the replay of this video, you're able to concisely put together some of the gems of wisdom that Tim has shared with us.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Tim.
Yeah, you too.
Really appreciate your time
Sure.
and what you're doing for the practice. Please continue to do it. Someone has to evangelize. And I think that's the one thing I got out of this is that even after you get the job as a data scientist, you must still evangelize what it is you do.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people that you work with, a lot of people you need to collaborate with, will not understand you or help you or give you opportunities to help them address their problems because they don't know.
Exactly.
They don't know. What do you need this data for? Yeah, you've been sent by the CEO. Why do you need this data?
Good. And we actually look forward to hosting you. So around September we'll have a live session, not online, but a physical one where we'll invite you to come to our room, listen to a lot more of this, listen to some data scientists sharing their experiences, and actually have something to take home. So we look forward to firming up the debt and with Stuart, and then we'll be able to share with you the debt.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Really been
Thanks,
a good use of your time.
Sure.
Yeah. And thank you for the online audience.